Welcome to Talk Around Riyadh, the Wheel of Time showcast. I am your host, Joe Perry, here with my co-hosts, Jen Isgro, Tom Kokoza. How are you both doing, Jen?
I think Tom's doing great, but I am...
Tom, how's Jen? Tom, how's Jen doing?
She's feeling very clean today, Joe.
She just washed her hair.
It's a big week. It's a big, big week.
It is a big week.
I had to at least clean myself for this
Tom got a haircut.
occasion. Yeah.
It's true.
I'm sick.
It's true.
Everything's going well.
Jen's right. It is a big week, and this is an extra special episode. Joe, do you know why?
I do know why, and this is a weird episode for many, many reasons, and I guess we can go into why. One, we're recording this episode before we go to London to go see the first episode in the Q&A that innkeeper Matt Hatch is hosting. But this episode's releasing after that.
Right.
So we
will not be talking about that.
We will not be talking about that trip at all. We'll actually be talking about something that happened in the past, which is what we usually talk about, but this is something that happened a little further in the past than we normally talk about. Because we had the opportunity to speak to some of the cast members for the Wheel of Time, obviously. Excuse me. And yeah, we're going to be showing those interviews we did for the press junket for season 3 and talking a little bit about each one of them. So this is very, very exciting for us. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
11.
Ooh.
This one goes to 11.
Yeah. So, and this is right. We got to talk to some of the cast members a while back after season 2. So that this is a little different because we're talking to them about season 3 before it airs. So, right, we don't have specific things that we didn't have specific things that we knew were going to happen, or we kind of knew were going to happen to ask them about. We had to be very careful about spoilers for season 3. So, one of the interviews, there is a spoiler that we actually were asked to not share. So, when we get up to that, you'll know it. I'll just say that because you won't, it'll be cut out.
Yeah, and I imagine we'll go back and address that after everyone knows whatever that spoiler is. Whenever that point in the show occurs. Yeah.
So, do you guys want to say anything before we go into the first interview? Or should I just roll tape?
I'll say this. Just obviously this is incredibly exciting, for all of us. I cannot fully express the nerves that I felt before we started these, but once we started doing them, I think that it went. Yeah, I don't know how well it went. That's for you to judge. But I think for us, the nervousness went away once we started talking to these people. They're very clearly passionate and knowledgeable about what they did, and that helped me at least feel like we were on the same level. Yeah.
And we got to talk to some of the people we talked to last time, but we also got to talk to some people we didn't get to talk to last time, which was very exciting. And yes, just to talk about the experience real quick, it was also a different experience than last time, because last time we just kind of got a Zoom link, we logged into it, and then we talked to the person, and then we were done. And they were the interviews were scattered throughout the week. This was like a 1-day event. And we got time slots, and we were logged into a Zoom and sitting in a waiting room with a bunch of other media outlets, like TV Guide and Winter is Coming. Who else?
Yeah.
Parade Magazine.
Parade Magazine. I think Newsweek might have been in there too. A bunch. Yeah.
It was very odd because it was us and professional people who do this all the time.
Yes.
And it was a very heady kind of surreal experience to be oh no, we're all just press here, and they didn't treat us any differently or went oh, here's the newbies. There was none of that.
Yeah,
it was nice.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. Anyway, so shall we get into the first interview?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is somebody we got to speak to last time and somebody we didn't get to speak to last time. So they're paired up. They interviewed 2 at a time. So this one is Natasha O'Keefe and the showrunner himself, Rafe Judkins. So let's get into that one.
Hello, I'm Tom. This is Joe and Jen. We're from the Talk Around Riyadh podcast. Thanks for the time this morning.
Hello.
All right. So my first question is for Natasha. In season 2, Lanfear was a central part of the story, obviously. With the rest of the Forsaken loose, should we expect a step back this season? And how much interaction should we expect between her and other Forsaken?
Well, Lanfear never takes a step back.
They will only onwards and upwards. Lanfear, it's not a good place or space for Lanfear at the end of the season, of course, with Mogedion creeping around in the shadows. But alliances of the Forsaken is what she's hoping for, because she needs all she can get. But whether that materializes or not.
She's not the most well-liked of the Forsaken amongst them, but she's extremely powerful and she has strong relationships. These people really knew each other well 3,000 years ago. And so she's going to be calling on every resource that she has and every old alliance that she might be able to make new, and every person she's tried to kill before and maybe still wants to work with them now.
It's just water under a bridge, surely. 3,000
Really, it's...
She would certainly prefer it if none of the others were around. So it's a big, sort of U-turn in her plans to have the rest of the Forsaken out and about in the world.
Yeah, she has to do something now about it.
That's great. Rafe, just a quick one about bringing some of those off-page scenes that are in the books, but we don't actually get to see them happen in the books. You brought some of those to life in the show. I was just wondering how you make that decision. What's your decision-making process for that? Which of those things you want to put in the show?
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that we try to move to the show usually will either be something that is extremely cinematic or extremely emotional. Like if we miss a really important emotional scene that exists off screen in the books and someone kind of talks about what it meant to them, like usually we'll try to bring that into the show and see it so that we can experience that with our characters. And then, sometimes like the cold open of episode 1 of season 3, like that's this huge action set piece that happens off screen essentially in the books, and we just thought it's too good, too exciting to let that happen off screen in the show too. So the cinematic nature of having all these Aes Sedai going toe to toe in the White Tower, we couldn't let that one pass us by.
No, shredding was the perfect word that you used to describe that scene.
Yeah.
All right. Just a quick, rapid fiery kind of question stuff, because I know we don't have a lot of time. Natasha, what's one piece of advice you'd give your character?
A piece of advice. Go bigger.
Oh, I love it. All right. What's the most challenging costume or prop you had to work with this season? And Rafe, you could answer for anybody if you feel the need.
No, you would.
For this season.
Yeah.
She usually has the most challenging costumes because we want to do something wild. We have a couple, I feel like, I don't know if I can say it. We have a prop from the Age of Legends that one of the Forsaken wields at one point that that a lot of conversation went into. I think I can say that, and I've given you nothing. And
All right. I think that we are done with time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We've heard so much about the podcast. It's great to get to meet you.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you
too,
so
Rafe.
much.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right.
That last part.
So, all right. So, yeah, let's talk about that last part. We always joke that Rafe listens to the podcast. Doesn't sound like he listens, but at least he knows about it.
But he's heard so much.
He's heard so much about it. That's
Not
true.
just heard about it. So much.
So much.
That's a lot.
Nothing else that they said registered. That's it.
No, that's
all.
it. We can move on. That's all.
That's all. So Rafe was good about, he talked about Ceara Angriel, right? Did he say Ceara Angriel? Sorry.
I think so, from the Age of Legends.
From the Age of
Ceara
Legends.
Angriel from the Age of Legends. He didn't say an Angriel or a Saw Angriel, right?
He definitely didn't say Saw Angriel.
Yeah. Any thoughts on what that
I
could
think he said Ceara Angriel.
what that could be? Is it the ball that Moraine uses? That doesn't seem like it.
Kalendor?
Both of those things are Saw Angriels, or so we think. But if they're kind of combining that with an access key, the access keys are Ceara Angriel.
Oh, that's
So
true.
again, but here's the thing, right? If he's like the way he put it, like I've told you nothing, but also everything, kind of like plays into that. Like they've taken stuff from the books, but they've kind of changed them for the show, perhaps. So maybe it is something that we know from the books, right? That exists, but doesn't necessarily exist in the same way, like the ball or
But he
perhaps
said
calendar.
a Forsaken wields it.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be Moraine. It would have to be a Forsaken wielding that ball.
Unless Moraine is forsaken.
Well, interesting enough, he
Moraine
didn't.
is Lanfear.
He also didn't say Lanfear wields it because I
Right,
feel like
he said
he would
Forsaken.
have. I feel like he would have said that because Natasha was right there, like that he would have said that she wields. So another Forsaken. So what is a Saw Angriel, or sorry, a Ceara Angriel that one of the other Forsaken would wield from the Age of Legends?
Well, it could be I've told you nothing because like it doesn't happen in the book, right? Like it's just
Right.
so you won't get it, but I have told you what it is.
Oh, so maybe it's just something made up for the show.
Well, it could be a Ceara Angriel that exists in the books from the Age of Legends, but the particular person who wields it might not happen in the book.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
I love Natasha's piece of advice for Lanfear.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Go bigger.
Yeah.
I wish we had many, many more minutes with them.
I know.
Yeah.
Very short interviews.
These were very short interviews. We only had 4 minutes. One of them we went a little bit longer, but that's because they started asking us questions.
Yeah, I think Natasha when we interviewed her last time gave us a sound clip that like has lived on in my ears forever, and I think "Go Bigger" is going to be the same.
Yes.
In that regard, they're terrific. This might be my favorite one. I don't know. We'll see when we hear the other ones, but this was really good and it was very exciting. They were open in a way that I didn't expect them to be. I thought they were going to be a lot more guarded. We asked some questions that gave them openings, and they kind of took them, at least in a way. I'm very excited to hear what your theories are, listening audience, about what Rafe was talking about.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Sure.
All right, next up we have 2 people we talked to last time. This is Ceara, Covi, and Ayoola Smart.
Hi. Thanks so much for being with us today. My first question is for Ceara. In season 3, we get to meet Elaine's family and learn more about her roots. Is there a particular family member you feel has the greatest influence on her, and in what way?
I think it has to be her mother, Queen Morghese. She is incredibly influential on her. I think she really influences. I think she's someone that she obviously looks up to so much, and she's seen her rule Andor, and she kind of takes notes of what kind of queen she wants to be and the path that she's taken. And I think there's a lot of pressure in that as well. And I think she really struggles with her own bravery, her own path into this world. And I think she really feels the weight of the responsibility and duty that she has, especially with her mother, who's very much kind of putting that pressure on her as well.
Okay, I have a question for Ayoola. Aviendo was a fish out of water in season 2 and responsible for most of the exposition of the Ayo culture for us. How did it feel this season to be immersed in your character's comfort zone?
It was amazing. It really did. Kind of the first days that we went into waste settings, it felt very emotional. It really was that kind of looking around and being like, wow, everyone here looks like but just to have there's so many incredible new characters coming, which I'm so excited for everyone to meet, and to have that depth, kind of an expansion of the world, and to have all of these different, because there's different clans, and there's so many different kind of aspects that come into it. And so to see that come to life was very emotional, and kind of, to choose a house and be like, this is where I grew up. It's very nice.
That's great. Okay, we just have some rapid fire questions for both of you now. So what's one piece of advice you would give to your character?
I think stay cool. This is your destiny, and you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'd say breathe. Take the time to see that people need a little help to get where they're going.
Okay. What's the most challenging costume or prop you've had to work with this season?
Ooh. Honestly, was so lucky to have so many incredible costumes this season. It's really hard to.
The costumes are incredible.
Yeah, Sharon did the most incredible job. But yeah, there was one where I had this golden armor that was quite difficult to get into, but once I was in, I felt very regal. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think without giving anything away, there's the nature and structure of having so many layers and leather and weapons and kind of things all done up, and then putting that into South Africa and very, very hot summertime. That was the challenge, I think. Yeah.
Great. Thank you guys so much. We're done for today. Thank you so much for answering our questions and being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.
So nice. Do you see how Kira's hair was perfectly swirled down her shoulder?
Yes.
Love that.
Yes, that's
Anyway,
the takeaway I got. That's the takeaway I got.
I'm just, whatever. You're wonderful.
Yeah,
Everyone's
so
nice.
So the armor she's talking about, Kira was talking about, right? That's the shot that we saw in the first look photos and in the the trailer and teaser.
Yes.
Right, of her. We think that's Egwene's accepted test, where they're all kind of dressed up in almost like Aes Sedai battle outfits.
Yeah, now we know that was difficult to get into, but which I guess I probably would have guessed anyway. But that's cool, and I appreciated their love for Sharon and Sharon's team and what they do. The costumes on the show are ridiculous, and it's good to see that the actors kind of anticipate that too. And we're going to see Avienda's house, or at least she saw it. I don't know if we're going to see it.
How wild was that? So we know we're going to Cold Rock's Hold. So I guess we're going to see Avienda's home, which is interesting. I never even thought about that. So that's cool. And also Kira talking about Morghese. So it seems like we're going to get some. I mean, we know we're going to get some interaction between obviously her and Morghese, right? Because we see the shot of Morghese going to the White Tower, but it seems like maybe it's going to be a little bit more than we thought.
I was thinking about it. They don't really interact in the books after the first book. They're not together.
No.
So the way she put it, there's Morghese, there's direct pressure. In the books, she always thinks about her mom and trying to live up to be the queen that her mother, or whatever. But this is more seems like there's going to be more I'm giving you expectations kind of a vibe, which is cool.
Yeah.
We also have that shot of her putting on the crown.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We thought that could be an accepted test.
Yeah, we don't know.
Or
It could be
dream,
her accepted test, but
we know that Morghese goes to the White Tower, so maybe
the crown could be there.
Yeah, maybe it's Elaine, wandering into her mother's quarters or something and
dramatically
putting it on. This is going to be mine someday. Yeah, you will be mine someday. Good foreshadowing. Yeah, those are great. Those two are cute too. together. It's funny. I wonder if they paired them together because of that shot we got, right? Remember we saw that shot of the two of them together in the
Yeah, they're definitely at least
first
friends.
look photos.
Yes, they seem to be friendly. Yeah, I don't know. I think that one might be my my favorite of the five that we did. They were just like a really nice vibe. Jen, you did a good job with it.
Thank you, Tom. I see what you're doing here, but let's keep going.
That's it. I will say this too. There's a part in that interview. This is very like behind the scenes kind of stuff. But there's a part in that interview early on where like I look away to the side and I had a really like angry, perplexed look on my face. That is because my boss and somebody else that I work with were nonstop messaging me about something that turned out to really not be that important, even though I was off and sick with COVID while we were doing these interviews. I was very upset. There we go. I just relived that, and now you get to know.
Nothing to do with Elaine and Avienda.
No, exactly. Like you were like, what is he doing? That's what I was doing.
All right.
Sorry.
So this next interview is with two people that we did get to speak to last time as well. This is Marcus and Donal. So let's get that one going.
I'm Jen. This is Joe and Tom. We're from Talk Around Riyadh. Hope you guys are doing well. Great. So my first question is for Donal. Even after Matt finally got his hero moment, blowing the horn of Alir, season 3 reveals there's a not so pleasant side effect. What does Matt learn about himself navigating this new challenge?
Great question. I think Matt is like you catch him at a really funny point at the start of season 3, which is that he has had this kind of like validity of what kind of person he can be in the future from the end of season 2 and blowing the horn of Alir, and this kind of like this assurance that like you have value, you have something to add to the world, and I think that's like been so. I don't think he's felt that in his own tapestry. I think, he obviously just expects that he will do the bare minimum or get by or something, but doesn't. Also, he's surrounded by like such incredible people that I think he's quite happy to be the kind of like side quest. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of to facilitate being like a kind of just a good friend to these people that he's with that are going on this massive individual journeys. But I think he's learning that he has more to offer than just like than just being a place for his friends to seek like relief or a bit of crack or whatever. But that also that everything kind of that I suppose like that responsibility or that validity that he gets comes with a cost, and that like heavy is the head that wears the crown, I suppose, is the kind of is what he is learning, and that he's also like leaning into that at points, but also wanting to keep back from that. And also I think, there's bits of like that he's learning about that how to use your status of power in a good in a moralistic way. I think like establishing that actually if you are in a position of power, like how to best harness that for good, I think is some of the things that he's like on a journey with in the start of the season.
Great. Thank you so much. My next question is for Marcus. Perrin's return to the two rivers is a pivotal moment for him with so much unresolved trauma. How does he navigate the balance between confronting his past and continuing to grow into the person he's becoming?
Oh, that's a lovely question as well. Thank you. I think, Perrin is he kind of fed up with the whole kind of prophecy journey thing and decides to go back home to kind of step outside, kind of any sort of danger that he's come across on this sort of journey so far. And then I think once he returns, he realizes there's an immediate threat, outside with white cloaks and trollocs and stuff. So I think he's actually thrust back into that kind of position straight away. And I think, there's that dichotomy between kind of returning home and kind of being that kind of like sinking in back to this kind of like place where he used to be, but also at the same time realizing that you know, that home doesn't really exist anymore, and like it's changed similar to him, and that there's like a new kind of environment there, and actually that someone who's left the village and has been on these kind of quests and journeys, actually someone that they look up to, I think. So that kind of idea of slotting back into normality and sort of keeping his head down quickly kind of vanishes, and he kind of realizes that he's someone that people might look to and turn to and befriend. And yeah, I think he, with the help of a few other characters, I think he slowly realizes that the village kind of needs someone like him, and that, yeah, he could maybe lead them.
Thank you so much, guys. It was so nice talking to you today.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Marcus and Donal.
I hope a lot of people ask Marcus a question first. That's all I'll say. I love Donal, but he talks very, he gives great answers, but he talks for a long time.
He did take up a lot of the time, so
Yeah.
yes. We'll remember that for next time if we have to interview two of them. So ask him a question last. But
Marcus's answer was really good too. They both had like really good answers. I think.
he and Marcus loved the question. Lovely question.
yeah, he gave some good information about that, like going back there, and he's talking about how the people like kind of look up to him since he left and came back, and so very much evoking the books, right? Yeah. So I like that. I think I have a feeling like they're gonna be, the storyline in this season 3 for him is gonna be pretty close to the books. I mean, they'll obviously have to cut stuff and, you know, compress stuff, but I think it's going to be almost exactly the same arc. I wouldn't see why you would change that though. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is finally going to, like, the fact that he was married and his wife is not alive anymore. This will be the end of that as a strong character element for him as well. Yeah, I'm hung up in re-listening to the this interview with a bit of crack. Which is a phrase I've never heard before, and I assume means like a bit of cracking up, like
joking,
laughter,
like jokes, yeah.
No, crack cocaine.
I mean, if anyone's gonna deal crack, it's gonna be Matt.
I guess that's true, but yeah, I like, we got this when we interviewed Donal last time, and some of the other interviews that I've read with him. He's really hyper thoughtful about like the internal process of his character and where he's at and like what's driving his character forward. And I whatever. I love somebody who loves to talk about the craft of acting and like where, like how his character is developed. So like while we joke about like the fact that he's very verbose, like it's really like insightful stuff to kind of get him, you know, to talk about where the character's at and where the character's going and like how he sees himself and whatever the case may be. So I really enjoyed this. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, I felt like I feel like they were excited that they were talking to people who weren't asking them like cookie cutter questions a little bit. And they responded in kind.
And I think they were the first interview we did, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes, I think so.
And we were like we might have been the earliest slot.
So they did one before us.
Yeah, we might have been one of the earliest slots. So I don't know.
They were fresh as daisies.
Yeah, so this might have been the beginning of we might have been the first or second interview that they did too. So I think we might have caught them off guard with our thoughtful, insightful questions. Although it was like it was the afternoon over there or something like that, so it's not like they just woke up. But
yes, it was early for us, but not for them.
No.
Yeah, and who knows? I actually assumed this wasn't the beginning of their day. This is the beginning of their American day.
That's
like
true. They could have did local European press earlier.
Yeah, like this was like their afternoon stuff. Because at one point, like again, this is a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, but at one point, not with us, but somebody else had to wait a little bit because they were taking a tea break. So like that's the vibe they were. Yeah, I would say I think this might have been my favorite interview. It was really good.
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
They were all my favorite.
I did too. I wish certain people I just wish we had. I wish we had more time with everybody, but I feel like we could get some really great answers from them with like.
Yes, I if we like whatever. Hey, Amazon Prime Video, if you're listening, we would love for more time with these. Like, I think that they really want to talk more about the show and how things went, and we do too. So,
20 minutes. Give us 20 minutes.
We'll give you the world.
Yeah.
22 minutes.
It's 22 minutes. Yes, it's true. All right.
Nobody else gets that.
All right. We've got 2 more interviews here, so let's jump into the final 2 interviews were people we did not get to talk to at all.
Yeah.
I just realized this, that the way we ordered it. So the last 4 people we did not get to talk to the first time. So I think we were a little more excited to talk to these people just because we hadn't. I have a question though before we get into that. Do you think any of the other previous actors remembered us from last time?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to say yes, but I don't think so. I will say this: I did not get a sense of. For this last one, I looked directly at them, right, and I didn't get a sense of recognition from either Donal or Marcus. I think there's a possibility that Ayoola might have remembered us, like just in the way that she reacted, but I don't think the other ones really. Like
I don't know. They do so much press, and it's like 10 minutes of their entire lives one time they saw us.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to think that they all listen to our podcast and know us, but it's nice to keep getting to talk to them. That's all.
Yeah. That's it. For sure. All right. So this next interview was with Daniel Henny and Sophie Canedo. This was exciting. These 2 are great too. So I'm sure Tom's going to say that this was his favorite interview. But
let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Hi, I'm Tom. This is Joe and Jen. We're from the Talk of Remriad podcast.
Hello.
Thank you for taking the time with us today.
I feel like I'm talking to the experts now, so I'm getting nervous.
We'll try not to do any sort of book trivia questions. Don't worry. So the first question is for you. Swan takes a more active role in events this season than ever before. How was it playing against so many different characters and getting to show so many different aspects of your character in this season?
Well, this has been my favorite season. In fact, I was really sad when we were kind of finishing, because I was just I had such a good time because I got to do lots of things. I got to, be in combat. I got to kind of show a whole range of emotions, and so you get to do your thing. And as an actor, that's just great. And also, I think we just all got to know each other a lot better. It's been a few years, and so I was really looking. When you start a job, it's quite tense. You don't know if you're going to get, what the dynamics are going to be. But with this, I knew that it was such a great group of people. And just when I looked around that room, when we were doing the kind of fight sequences, there are so many different faces, so many people from all around the world, and we're all in this room together. And although it's, hard and difficult and lots going on, it's also really good fun.
That's cool. Thank you. Daniel, Lan seems to be in a good place to start this season after a season 2 that helped him embrace his role as Moiraine's warder. But his birthright as king to a land that was taken by the Blight must weigh on him. Do you feel like that's an aspect of the character that can be explored more?
This season, we're going to wade into those waters a bit with the introduction of a few other characters that help prompt some of those thoughts. I think that obviously anyone who's experienced anything like being adopted or something like that, who has no real connection. My mother's adopted, and we talk about this a lot with Lan's journey. Those questions are always there. I think this season you'll see him start to have, I wouldn't say a crisis, but an existential sort of process where he asks questions like, who am I and why am I here? And of course, a lot of those questions are directly connected to Malkier and where he came from. And so book readers will know that as we progress with his storyline, it's very exciting where he goes, and we're starting to set up for that this season.
All right. Just some rapid fire questions. I know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll just zoom through these. For both of you, what's one piece of advice you'd give your character?
Loosen up a bit.
Good luck. All right.
Good luck with that.
I have no idea. I can't think. Sorry, my mind's gone blank.
No problem.
Next question.
What's the most challenging costume or prop that you had to work with this season?
it's always a sword for land, depending on where we have it. We've moved it down to the waist now, simply just for functional purposes. We did have it on the back for the first couple of seasons, and that was a nightmare. So sword placement, and when you incorporate action sequences and rolling, we have 3 or 4 different types of swords. One's a rubber sword, so I can roll with it on my back. One's a half sword, so I can ride a horse with it, because we made the mistake of having a full sword, jumped on a horse, poked the horse, not a good thing.
No.
So the sword is the answer, yeah.
All right.
I'm rather partial to my crowns. All the costumes are fantastic, and they are sometimes a challenge to wear, but they're so amazing that you just want to kind of shower in such a brilliant costume designer that you just want to try your best to make them work, whatever.
All right. Well, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for everything. We love you.
Oh, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. He loves us.
Yeah. I mean, that was clearly my favorite interview. He loves us. And it wasn't just him, but we love you. Like that, you know. So they all love us, and that's very, very nice. I did not know what to expect from Sophie Canedo. She had not done press for the show before. This is the first time she's really doing press for the show. And she was so fun, and I like it's so different than our character in the show. I was really I don't know. It I think relaxed us a little bit too, and like allowed us to have fun back. They were very, very open in their responses.
Yeah.
I think,
so
again,
you'll notice we had to cut a bit of one of those responses because it was a spoiler for season 3. So
they were very open in their responses.
In fact, you don't see it there.
I was just going to say, you're going to say what he said.
Go ahead, Jen.
Well, Tom, you're the one who heard it. I'll let you say it.
Yeah. So as we were leaving, like they kind of pulled us out one by one out of the Zoom room, and as we're leaving, like Sophie turns to Daniel and is like, "Was I all right in saying that? Was that okay?" Like, and I made a mime, like, I would zip my lip, and lock it up, because I got the vibe that maybe that's not something you're supposed to say too. And he just goes, "It's all right. They're cool. They know." Like, and that's exactly. I'm paraphrasing him, and it's not in the
I think
thing.
He said like, these guys know what's up.
Yeah, these guys know what's up.
Like they already knew about. It's fine.
Yeah, like you didn't spoil it for them, and like they were very happy with the fact like that. Like we're not gonna.
Yes.
Ruin this for anybody else. But these guys know what's up. Is I wish that we got that bit of audio. They had stopped recording before we leave. They stopped the recording. But
so that you'll find out what that bit is later on. We were asked to not release that until the show actually airs. So
but yeah, I think, we talked about this a little bit with some of the other interviews. They, like, again, I think that, like, they were excited, like, and maybe like Sophie sounded a little nervous about it, but like, okay, these are people who love the show and love the books. And like these are the people that, like, in part we're doing this for. And I think they were excited to kind of respond to that.
I'm sure there's a lot of press people who are like assigned this.
Right.
From like magazines. And then so they just like, they come up with questions, but they're not like, tell us about your existential journey and your birth, like all this. I love what Daniel said about his mom being adopted and how he researched with her. I was like, oh, that's like great.
So just
great,
So I think we have a little clarity now about that answer, because I didn't fully know when we asked it and he answered that question what he was talking about. But now that we know Melindra's cast and that she's Malkiri, that's who I think he was referring to when he says, like, we do explore that with some new characters, or he said, like, I'm like, oh, okay, now we know what they're talking about. So they're going to be playing that up a bit this season, it seems like. So I think that was nice that we got that additional clarity on that.
Yeah, and I'm excited about, like, we see the teaser and the trailer, and Lan looks very supportive in those. And like that's his role. He's the warder. He's there to support Maureen, and it looks like he has some important scenes with Nynaeve, but it looks like he's still going to have a lot of stuff to do on his own, and there's going to be stuff, like he said, it's like this is kind of preparing him for the next phase of what his character is, right? I'm excited to see that stuff. I think kicks ass in the show. So
yeah, it seems like we're going to get a lot more of Sophie in this season than we did in the first 2 seasons. A lot more Swan, which is I think why Sophie's doing press. I think we're expected to get some more White Tower stuff, right? We know the opening sequence is the whole exodus of the Black Aja, where that's been they showed that at CCXP, and we've seen it in the teaser and the trailer. So I think we're probably going to get Sophie in more than like 1 or 2 episodes, and I think we talked about this when we did our breakdown that we think she's going to be in this a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of undercut, like, she does a lot. She's a lot more active in season 2 than she is in season 1. Most of her season 1 stuff is like, either romantic scenes with Moraine or like kind of sitting in a chair and being the Amerlin. But like, yeah, like you can already tell from the trailer, like there's a lot more like physical interaction and action stuff. And I think that that's kind of cool to show like this, I'm the ruler of the most powerful group of people on the planet, and I'm also like a can-do action person. So I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Tom, was that your favorite interview?
Yeah, they said that we love you. That's what I heard there. How could this not be my favorite interview?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think it's a lock.
And we get to our final interview that we did. This was Rosamund and Yosha. So 2 people we didn't get to talk to last time that we're very excited to talk to this time. This one we actually got to speak a little bit longer with them just because Yosha started asking us questions at the end. So, without further ado, here. Nice to meet you. I'm Joe, and this is Jen and Tom. We're from the Talk Around Riyadh podcast. Great to be here speaking to you today.
Oh, from the what podcast?
Talk Around Riyadh.
Talk Around Riyadh. Wow. Fantastic.
My first question is for you, Rosamund. So Moraine, I think it's safe to say, has always been fairly unwavering in her mission. How much do you think she's willing to sacrifice for it in season 3? And do you think she fully comprehends the consequences of her choices?
Yes, I think she does, in short. Is that enough of an answer? Moraine likes brevity, as you know.
That's true. That is true.
No, she's prepared to sacrifice everything. I think it's a mission for which she's prepared to die, and that's what makes her interesting. It's fun to play someone who is so single-minded and will sacrifice all personal comfort, friendship, loyalties. She will play cards close to her chest if she feels it benefits the mission, even if it alienates those closest to her. And I think I pushed Rafe to allow me to show how far she's prepared to go, because we know it as readers of the book, but sometimes in a series you need to demonstrate it. So, we have that very nice moment where there's clearly suffering going on in the inn in Tarvalon, which we know is created by these bubbles of evil in the books, but Moraine is, to her mind, partially responsible for what's going on, and she needs to let it play out and take its course, because she really needs to separate Rand from the other 2 Rivers folk. And I feel those are the moments where we see Moraine's ruthlessness at play.
Yeah. So speaking of reading the books, Yosha, we know that you've read them. Are there any specific or key traits or moments for Rand that you used from the books to shape your performance in this season?
Everything, I think. Previous seasons, I was so deep into the books that it felt like at times I knew too much. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, to use another boxing reference, when you step into the ring, you don't really want to think about which leg goes first, left, right. That's all behind of you. And that's how I felt this season. I felt like because I've read all the books, I reread different parts, I did all my research, I could kind of completely let it go, and while still staying true to the source material. And that for me was very liberating, because I felt at times it helped me. When you not know, it can feel it can even feel more creative. So while knowing, I was trying to get to the place of not knowing, and that was really different for me this season. And there's loads of moments in the books that I used, of course, because those moments were in the show. And there's especially this season, there's especially one moment that I was very excited about, and that is the trial of Viridian.
Which is one of the most complicated passages in the book, in The Shadow Rising. And it's, you know, and Rafe Judkins has found a brilliant way to represent that on screen. And Yosha, you know, plays 7 different characters in that episode, I think.
Wow. We're very excited to see that.
It's a very, very, and it's the Trial of Viridian is the most experimental episode we've done. It's coming up in episode 4. It obviously sets Moiraine and Rand on a kind of, it resets the compass almost for both of them, and they have a new understanding of one another after it. There are some changes from the book, which I will, you know, I'll flag that now. There is, it's not entirely as Viridian happens in the book, but in essence, as always with Rafe, the essence of what comes out of these episodes is the same. And
that's great.
And it was a beautiful thing to shoot. And the rings was a wonderful, wonderful exploration for Moiraine as well of what the future might hold.
Well, we're very excited to get to see those the full season. I want to thank you both for your time. It was great to speak to you.
What is your favorite moment from the books, if I may ask?
From the books, like just the entire series?
Just one.
The entire series. Oh God, that's a really tough one.
I know. Like
Jen or Tom, do you have something you want to jump in?
I mean,
do my Wells is.
Yeah.
But what about from The Shadow Rising? Go with The Shadow Rising.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say this. There's 2 of them. One of them is Perrin's at the end, the Golden Eyes chapter.
Yeah.
And the 2 rivers, and the other one is Nynaeve and Moghedien showdown at the end.
Oh, wow.
And Couladin and Rand at the end with the whole thing where he's up in front of all the Aiel. That part.
Yes, that gives chills on the page, and it'll give chills in the season, I promise.
Well, I am looking forward to the Trial of Viridian. That's, I think, one of my favorite parts of the entire series. So I can't wait to see how that's adapted.
And we have a great Couladin who, you know, it was good because it's, you know, it's not, you know, can't always guarantee who you get to, and we got amazing Aiel actors for all the Aiel. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks again. Really appreciate taking the time to talk with us. There we
go. Oh boy.
Put us on the spot, man, Yosha.
That was rough. You were like, oh my God, what?
The entire series. Thankfully, Rosamund jumped in and was like, okay, what about this book at least? Like,
right, yeah. That they went like, Rosamund's like, I'm a producer on the show. I can talk about whatever I want. Let me tell you about episode 4. This was going to happen.
7, 8. She was talking about like,
right, yeah.
When I said my thing,
yeah.
So, Rand's going to be 7 different characters,
which is more than I anticipated by a lot. I thought we were going to see like maybe like 4 scenes.
Well, maybe they won't all be like super long. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows how long the episode's going to be? But still, that's a lot of different. Of different
costumes.
Right. She talked about the rings, right, which we saw in the trailer. She said it's, you know, Trial of Viridian. It's very experimental. So, yeah. I mean, now we kind of know what they're talking about with that, with the whole thing of the rings, and then Rand doing. Well, the Trial of Viridian is I think what Rand's doing, and then, right, and then what Moiraine's doing is the rings. Yeah. And she mentioned the bubbles of evil. She said bubbles of evil, by the way, not bubble of evil. And she sounded like she was involved in it somehow.
Yeah, so she said she feels responsibility in some way for them. And it could just be like she said, like she's kind of not, like she says she's kind of letting them happen. Right? To like
separate Rand from the others.
So like it's a little bit of like maybe like she could intervene, she chooses not to kind of vibe. I like what she said about like, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, she said she wants to show the ruthlessness of, oh, geez, Louise. My phone is making noise. This is the worst. Anyway, she wants to show the ruthlessness of Moraine, something that you get to see more in the books. And she feels like that part hasn't been fully explored in the show. And I again, you talk like
she was pretty ruthless last season.
True, but not to people. Like, yeah, I guess maybe
Swan.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I gotta go with him.
Sorry about this.
Sorry.
Yeah, like this was like she knows the books and she knows the character so well, like that's where she's pushing. She's pushing. Let me show all aspects of this. It's going to be a more engaging and more complicated show to the audiences, and that's going to be good. And I love that.
Yeah. So I'll just again say bubbles of evil. So I mean, we saw one in the teaser and the trailer. So does that mean we're going to get the other ones that happen, like Matt and the playing cards and Perrin and the axe and weapons?
Well, that's not all. Those are all separate bubbles. They're not the same bubble.
No,
it's not like a physical bubble. I thought that was like a bubble of evil in the pattern, right?
Yeah, but I think those are separate events, right? They're all separate.
Yeah, but they're all happening at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a bubble happens in the pattern and these three things happen.
Oh, you think?
I think that was like actual physical bubbles. They're not like three
No, I know
bubbles.
that, but what I'm saying is she said bubbles with an S.
Well, she said this was one of the bubbles, right? So they're like in the books, there's more bubbles.
She
There's
said
other
one of the
bubbles.
bubbles?
That's what I thought she said.
I don't think she said one of the bubbles. I thought she said with the bubbles of evil.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'm.
Which I'm just making the point
Okay.
that maybe we're going to see not just the Rand one that we saw in the trailer. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We might be. That means we might get the other
That'd be
ones
cool.
because she said she's trying to separate. Moraine's trying to separate Rand from his friends. So maybe the friends also get bubbles of evil.
Maybe.
And then she talked about Couladin at the end there in Rand.
Yeah.
How we're going to get that cool kind of Alcar doll scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of like
couldn't think of the words Alcar doll when we were doing. I was like up in front of every.
I thought you were trying to be circumspect. You could have just still covered that because I thought you were trying to be like, I'm not gonna say what.
I didn't want to I don't know, but I was, no words come to my mind when I'm nervous. So.
No. Yeah, and like she kind of talks him up a little bit. The actor who plays Couladin says he's going to be really good. So I'm interested to see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope he surfs in.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, we don't.
Oh man, Brandon's going to be so disappointed this season.
This is the guy. No.
He's going to be so.
He's just a fighter guy.
So that was the last one. They were fun.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that was my favorite one. They asked us questions and we got to answer, and that was the only one that all three of us got to talk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, special.
Well, not got to talk. We kind of arranged it that way ourselves. Though,
yeah.
So.
Well, yes, but we still,
all in all, an amazing experience getting to talk to them. It was. I feel like it was a little bit more. Stressful just because we had such a short amount of time to speak with them. We had 4 minutes basically to speak with two people, which was most of the time some of the time it was just literally one question each person and that was it. But we did get to ask some other questions, which was nice, and some follow-ups. So yeah, that was awesome.
It was.
And
really good. We had plenty more questions that we wanted to ask everybody. So, I can't wait to see, I can't wait to see everybody because I know between the big media outlets and I think some of the other people in the community, I think there's going to be a lot of good questions, and hopefully nobody asked the same questions that we asked. We get to hear different things from people.
Yes. All right. Should we wrap it up here then? Any final thoughts before we go?
I'm just again really appreciative that we got to do this. I feel like this is another peak that we've hit, and I just want to keep hitting peaks. I'm not ready to come down. So let's I feel like we're up here and we're still going up. I'm just happy that we're getting these opportunities. I'm thankful, and I love talking about Wheel of Time, so we get to continue doing it.
I'm totally cutting out that clip of Rosamund saying "Talk around Riyadh, fantastic." That's
okay.
That's going to be there with the Donal
Yeah.
Joe, Jen, and Tom.
Yeah.
Put that in.
I feel like, and I'm asking you guys, you got this out if it doesn't make any sense, but like I thought that there was something that happened after this one too. Wasn't there another interview where somebody said something to us as we were leaving and it didn't get recorded? Do you remember me telling you that? Because for whatever reason, I was always the last person in. Yes, this is what it was. I remember now. After it was over, Rosamund, like everybody has like a handler, like somebody from the show or whatever, and she just turns to them and she went, "That was fun," and I was like, "Yes, it was." And like I didn't even have a chance to respond. Like it was like that, and then it was gone. But I was like, "That's great." Like, I
know we're gonna have that, if we ever do this again, we'll be like, can you just record until we're gone? Because sometimes they say fun things. We want to put them on.
Yeah,
I never believe us.
Yeah,
I mean, theoretically, I can record the audio for it myself.
But but like you guys weren't even there. It was just me. I swear it happened.
Oh, that's true. I
it was
even been there, so I couldn't record it because I wasn't there.
But yeah, I think. I agree with everything that Jen said. Like these are tremendous things. There are highlights for us. And I will say this: like I've been asked by my family before, like, have you spoken to Rosamund Pike yet? Like, and I was like, is that what you need to be like happy with the fact that I'm doing? Like, yes, but now I can say yes, I have.
Yes, I have.
There you go.
And she had fun.
And she said the name of our podcast aloud.
That's right.
And we recorded it.
That's going into the intro, I think. I got to make a new intro to the podcast.
I wish if we had these guys know what's up, that could have been like our tagline. Talk around now. These guys know what's up.
I know.
That should be our tagline anyway, but anyway.
That's funny. I do like that.
We need a new one.
All right. That was amazing that we got to do the interview. Very excited for season 3. We've only got less than a month before it comes out. We got our trailer. The hype train is full steam ahead. And I hope that this gave everyone a little bit more, I don't know, excitement for the new season coming out. So
there's also an online fan event.
Oh, that's right. On March 8th. March
8th.
Yes.
I don't know if it's like still available. I couldn't make it to that, but I think you could look online and try to sign up. And I'm not even sure what it's going to be, but.
Yeah, they haven't said anything. I have a feeling it's because they're doing the London thing and there's a Q&A afterwards, and I think they were going to release that later. So maybe it's the Q. Maybe they're going to show episode 1 and then show the Q&A from it. Maybe they're going to show the London event or an abridged version. It'd be interesting. I know some people said, well, why would they show the first episode before? But they did that with the first season, right? Remember they did the fan experience that we went to in New York, where they showed the first 2 episodes, a few days before the season released. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was the first episode and then the Q&A that it does,
or even it was just like the Q&A and some selected bits. You know,
So, all right. I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. We also post our episodes on YouTube, so be sure to go to our YouTube page to like and subscribe. So if you listen to this on the podcast, if you want to watch it and actually see the actors, go to the YouTube page and watch it there. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages to support us that way. Links to all the aforementioned information are included in the show notes to this episode. Final words, Jen, Tom?
No, just thank you again. I hope you guys enjoy these interviews, and let's keep trucking towards season 3.
Keep on trucking. Thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear us next time.